to everyone. On behalf of the organizing team, I very welcome you all to the second day of the 3 days lecture series. We had a wonderful, enriching day yesterday with esteemed guests highlighting various aspects for adoption of NEP 2020 in our university. Our chief guest, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Yogesh Singh sir, enlightened us with the requirement of the dynamic nature of education environment and national education policy's role. Our second speaker, Professor Ratnabali, walked us through the detailed technicalities of the draft UGCF 2022. The program ended with Professor Pankaj Arora sir discussing the qualitative aspects of the adoption of the draft curriculum. Sir also addressed the questions and concerns of the participants regarding the draft. Continuing with the spirit of the program, I would request Professor Yukti Sharma ma'am to kindly take over the proceedings with today's program. Over to you, ma'am.
Namaskar and a very good afternoon to Professor Balrampani, Dr. Vikas Gupta, Professor Jasvinder Singh, Professor Niranjan, the eminent speakers of the day. I can also see Professor Pankaj Arora, Professor Rama, Principal Hansraj College, Professor Ravi Prakash Tekchandani, all the other dignitaries, faculty members, scholars, students from University of Delhi, as well as from other universities. I once again welcome you on behalf of Institute of Lifelong Learning, and also as we are collaborating with Mahatma Hansraj Faculty Development Center of Hansraj College, also on their behalf. As we know, we started yesterday, and it was a very insightful day for all of us because we got a detailed understanding of Delhi University's Undergraduate Curricular Framework 2022. And today is also one of those days which we are continuing with the discussion. And at this moment, I would like to say, जो हमारी कल बातचीत हुई और जो कल हमने सुना, उसको देखकर ऐसा लगा कि कहीं पर पढ़ने वाले और पढ़ाने वाले दोनों को एक मोमेंट पे एक ऐसे पड़ाव पर आकर रुकना चाहिए, सोचना चाहिए, चिंतन करना चाहिए। तो ये 3 दिन जो है हम पढ़ने वालों को, पढ़ाने वालों को वो चिंतन और वो रिफ्लेक्शन करने का मौका मिल रहा है। तो इसी को आगे लेके जाते हुए आज टुडे
Yes, ma'am, I'm there. Sorry.
Another theme, another very important theme related to DU UGCF 2022, and that is youth. And this we are going to discuss today in the light of NEP 2020 and also other national initiatives. The first speaker of today is Professor Balrampani. I welcome you, sir. Namaskar, sir. ILLL की तरफ से भी, हंसराज कॉलेज की तरफ से भी हम आपका स्वागत करते हैं सर। इससे पहले कि मैं आपको इनवाइट करूं, मैं 2 मिनट लूंगी। I take it as an honor to introduce you to all the people who are with us today. As we all already know, Professor Balrampani is presently serving as Dean of Colleges at University of Delhi. He was also holding charge as Director Campus of Open Learning, University of Delhi. He was also leading the Bhaskaracharya College of Applied Sciences, University of Delhi as principal since last 7 years and has more than 25 years of teaching experience. He has published more than 50 research articles in reputed journals and authored more than 20 books. He has supervised more than 8 research scholars at MPhil, PhD, postdoc levels. He has also handled several projects of more than rupees 1.25 crore research grants. He has worked for the upliftment of the education sector through his diverse experience and expertise. As I know, he belongs to chemistry, the disciplinary area, but he has a lot of experience and he has contributed in several ways to environmental science and environmental education, which is one of the major issues in the contemporary times. So with this vast and diverse experience that Sir has, I would like to invite him and I'm eager to hear from him. Sir, please, over to you.
Thank you, Professor Yukti Sharma ji, Professor Rama Sharma, Professor Jasvinder Singh ji, Dr. Vikas Gupta ji, Good evening to everybody and my dear colleagues. Professor Niranjan is there and Professor Ravi Prakash Chandan is there, and my dear colleagues and the participants. It is all about the national initiatives. Means most have already been spoken about the NEP. Means what it was. Means almost last 2 years we have discussed at large what was the NEP. But right now, this is we'll talk about the activities and the main particularly it is the implementation. And the launch of the NEP in 2020 was a milestone in Indian education particularly. And it is the heartening to note that the government is working in mission mode to implement the policy and has moved ahead with several of the initiatives envisaged in the landmark policy within 2 years of the launch. Means it has already been 2 years. Now we are moving in a faster motion so that it can be implemented in a proper way. And the government has launched several initiatives to take the agenda of the policy forward in the areas ranging from the preschool education, assessment framework for the school education, engineering education, bank of credits, internationalization, and the teacher training and platforms and the programs of technology educations. Means here, since we are going for the Delhi University, it is the having some colleges, and it will talk about the higher education. So we will focus on the higher education part. We will not talk about the school or the school about that one. Means bringing the flexibility to the higher education is one of the main goals of the policy and the launch of the Academic Bank of Credit, ABC, will be a key enabler for realizing this goal. Means whatever the goal means, that is the change of the education. It is the main important factor. It is the ABC, that is the Academic Bank of Credit, and ABC and the policy in the multiple entry and multiple exit system, that is the MES, MEES, that is the multiple entry and exit system, are the complementary to each other. These will provide the students freedom to pursue their preferred course at their own convenience. Means if a particular student wants, right now he has started due to some reason, if he wants that okay, after 2 years I have to start it again, then it can be. So these are their own convenience, both in terms of timing, duration, and at an institution of their own choice. Thereby, it is enabling a culture of continuous learning. This is the important factor, that is the continuous learning system. And offering, and you just see, for example, it is the offering the engineering courses in the regional languages is another, that is the proactive steps to ensure that the talented youths who have completed their school education, means in India, means there are in many states where in the school level, that is, it has been taught in the regional languages. And these regional, because of these regional languages, those talented youth they are not able to enter into the engineering section because of this language only. And this particular barrier will be right now, it is over because of this NEP. And then the regional language have an equal opportunity to realize their dreams of study in engineering or medical fields and very professional courses. India had been a university of the world centuries back with the release of guidelines for the internationalization of the higher education. This is the second point. That is the internationalization of the higher education. Our higher education, that is not it's internationalized because the people from the abroad, they are not coming in a massive way, and our students are also not getting the opportunity to go abroad in that way. So that's why this NEP will give us some guidelines for the internalization of our own higher education. It is hoped that Indian institutions will be able to attract the students from all over the world. And again, what we have thought that in the earlier our Indian system education was that India was the Vishwaguru. If you will do that internalization system, this internalization system of the higher education will make us again that position that is the Vishwaguru. In higher education, the 4-year undergraduate program, one of the goals of the NEP to provide holistic and multidisciplinary education or liberal education. This is the case. Means here the holistic means many times, anywhere, our honorable Prime Minister is saying, talking about the holistic and multidisciplinary education should be given to our own students. If they will be there, then they will be engaged anywhere and with their own talent. This is the main thing. And this liberal education is a very important section to be implemented. Here, the critical responsibilities of the Department of Higher Education is rating of the new framework for the regulation and the maintenance of the standards in higher education as per its constitutional mandate. Means definitely, means our is now the position of our own department, higher education departments. They will have to go in such a direction so that we can maintain the standard as well as the whatever the constitutional mandate. Constitutional mandate means education to all. Means that should be given, and by that way also the standard of the education should not be compromised. Both will be going simultaneously because this is the main aim of the NEP. The new framework envisages the distinct, independent, and empowered bodies will perform the separate roles of the regulation, accreditation, funding, and the standard setting. Means these are the framework, means where different bodies will work differently so that everybody will do their work in a proper manner and so that the NEP will be a great success. And such segregation of the functions is necessary to eliminate here, because in many cases, whenever it is talking about the implementation, because the segregation is not somewhere, so that's why we are facing some problems. But here it is the segregation of functions is necessary to eliminate the overlapping jurisdiction, number one. Then the create check and balances within the system. Number three, minimize the conflict of interest. And number four, the eliminate the concentrations of the power. Means one particular one, the power will not be concentrated. So if we will follow this one, then definitely our NEP will be a great success. And following all these things, our team, in particular in Delhi University, our team is very, very competent enough to give you some guidelines, program, framework, everything. They are working day and night, and they are designing very meticulously and to eliminate all such problems. And you just see, also, I came to know that yesterday. This was a very elaborate lecture about this system of our Delhi University, and Professor Ratnabali has explained like anything. So this is our team. They are working day and night, and everything will be explained. And whatever the apprehensions of all the stakeholders, not only the students, teachers, non-teaching staff, whosoever is the stakeholder of this debate, everybody will be before them everything will be explained and their apprehension will be clear. Then definitely we should work together and do together and think together so that this NEP, the implementation particularly means here right now, means today also means when we are discussing just in the light mood, we are discussing with our Vice Chancellor, he was saying that, okay, the Indians are very, very brilliant to design their policy. But whenever it has come to the implementation part, we are lagging behind. So right now, with the able leadership of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, definitely if you will work together and do together, think together, then definitely we will be implementing this course in a proper way with minimal apprehension. Thank you. You have invited me for this occasion, so I am very much thankful to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for this insightful address.
Thank you, Pani sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
It was very insightful, and the last thing that you said, which is the best takeaway of this session, जो आपने कहा कि policies हम बहुत creative बनाते हैं, बहुत insightful बनाते हैं, पर उसका implementation जो है, वो कहीं पर execution जो है वो रह जाता है. तो policy से जो insights आपने दिए हैं और जिस तरह से उसकी execution में the team, Delhi University के जो officials और जो team NEP की लगी हुई है, वो हम कल से सुन रहे हैं उसको. और आपका एड्रेस जो है, it is all the more motivating the kind of hard work which has gone. We have to take that hard work forward. So once again, thank you very much from ILLL and also from Hansraj College. Now we'll take it ahead. Do we have any questions, Dr. Jyoti, for Professor?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I don't see any questions in the QA section.
Okay, sir, we don't have any questions right now. So if we have, we'll let you know during the sessions. Now we'll move ahead with the program. Just give me a minute. Now I would like to invite our very own Registrar, Dr. Vikas Gupta. But again, I'm saying my very own hearty welcome, sir, to you to this platform from ILLL and from Hansraj College. I'm saying this because sir is an alumnus of this university also. Sir has served this university also and is also presently contributing to the university. But before giving this platform to you, sir, I would like to say a few words, although those words may not justify the kind of experience that you have, may not do justice to your experience. So, sir, Dr. Vikas Gupta, at present, he is the Registrar of University of Delhi. He started his career as a lecturer in electronics at ARSD College, University of Delhi. And after that, he served many positions. He was the founder, senior director of National Testing Agency, apex body of MHRD. He was the joint secretary at University Grants Commission, UGC. He was director, Distance Education Council, apex body to regulate distance education. He was joint secretary at CBSE, regional officer of Northeast region of CBSE. He was assistant director at AICTE, apex body to regulate technical education. He was also at one point of time Joint Registrar, University of Delhi, looking after the multiple responsibilities at both North and South campus. To say a little bit about his education, I would like to say why, because an interesting fact that comes to me is that he is a BSc Electronics from Hansraj College. So it's like coming back to your college itself. What an association, sir, in multiple ways. He's also MSc Electronics from University of Delhi. He also did his PhD from here in semiconductor materials, very interesting. Other than this, he's also member of several committees, Finance Committee of Central University of Haryana, expert member for recruitment rules and roster for HNB Central University, Central University of Kerala also, and Ambedkar University. He's also special invitee member of UGC, peer review committees, and various other committees. What a vast experience, sir, from academic to administrative. So it's a learning for all of us.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. नमस्कार. तो जो मीटिंग शुरू होने से पहले जब मैडम रमा जी ने कहा था कि विकास जी आप बहुत जल्दी आ गए, वो मैंने बताया था कि भाई मैं स्टूडेंट हूँ और हमें डर लगता है टीचरों से, तो वो यही कारण था कि मैं अपने कॉलेज में ही जा रहा था वापस बोलने के लिए। और ये बड़ी, आज मैं बहुत नर्वस था जब मेरी प्रिंसिपल रमा मैडम ने जब मुझे बोला कि विकास जी आप एक लेक्चर देंगे, हमारा एक ओरिएंटेशन, एक प्रोग्राम हम कर रहे हैं रिगार्डिंग दी करिकुलम फ्रेमवर्क एंड टॉकिंग अबाउट द नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी 2020. Sometimes it is very difficult कि how I am going to teach the teachers who have taught me and who are teaching. But still, after gathering that support from all my seniors, Professor Balrampani ji, Professor Jasvinder ji, Professor Niranjan ji, Ravi Tek Chandani ji, and my colleagues. So let me start a few discussion points. And in case of any error, I would request you to kindly pardon me for those unintentional errors. See, I don't know whether how many of us have gone through the National Education Policy Document 2020. When I'm saying document, I'm saying a book published by the Government of India, which was released on 29 July 2020, which is having 27 units, 27 chapters. It is a 68-page document having 27 units, out of which 8 units are primarily for school education and 9 units are for higher education, and then remaining units for higher educational new framework which the government envisaged, and also talking about other professionals and various educational activities, including vocational education. We all know that the education is the fundamental for achieving full human potential. It would help in developing an equitable and just society and promoting national development through character building, enabling the learners to be ethical. Then the education only taught us to be more compassionate and caring. And finally, it is the education which lead us to the gainful and fulfilling employment. So this is the prime role of the education when we look at it. And when we talk about education, providing quality access to the education is the key to our national development. It would help India in its continued ascent and leadership in terms of economic growth, social justice and equality, scientific advancement, national integration, and cultural preservation. When I said national integration, the other day we all have heard our Honorable Vice Chancellor in the speech he made on 26th day of January 2022. He said, our constitution talked about many things, but our constitution did not talk about that we should remain together with each other and we should respect the constitution. And that was the reason, because nobody ever thought that we would forget our constitution and we would vie for petty benefits for amongst ourselves. But still, the National Education Policy document, here I am only talking about it as a document. It says about that when we talk about education, it is ultimately going to build the national integration also. Ultimately, it is the national education policy which is going to help in the nation building. Up to this stage, I talked about the national education policy as a document. But if I go through this document, I am of this opinion that it is not only a document, but a commitment on the part of the Government of India, the Union of India. The kind of changes they have prescribed in the national education policy, the need for these changes, and the commitment on the part of the Government of India to support these changes, ultimately making our own country, Bharat, as one of the leading institutions of the world. We all know that with quickly changing employment landscape and global ecosystem, it is increasingly critical that children not only learn. As of now, we see that children should learn, but more importantly, they should learn how to learn also. So that is the basic genesis of the National Education Policy 2020. Through this document, we could oversee that what we are looking for, that it should move towards less content and more towards learning about how to think critically and solving problems, which as of now, our curriculum structure do not provide for. Then how to be creative and multidisciplinary, how to innovate, adapt, and absorb new material in novel and changing fields. So ultimately, when we talk about all these things of the education, we look for pedagogy and curriculum change. Pedagogy should evolve education into more experiential learning. It should be more holistic. It should be more integrated. It should be more inquiry-driven, discovery-oriented, learner-centered, discussion-based, flexible, and ultimately more enjoyable. We all know that now, with the advancement in information technology, the materialistic information is available everywhere. You put a word on the Google and you would get thousands of articles on that Google. Ultimately, if we are not able to provide an education system which is more flexible and enjoyable, we would not be able to sustain further. Then when we talk about curriculum, the curriculum should have basic teaching about arts, crafts, humanities, games, sports, and fitness, including language, literature, culture, and values. Ultimately, it is through curriculum only we are going to develop all aspects and capabilities of learners to make education more well-rounded, useful, and fulfilling to the learners. So ultimately, when we see this commitment of the Government of India in the form of national education policy, we see how the government is envisaging for the changes in the national education system. With these ideas in mind, the University of Delhi has taken the initiative. The University of Delhi has taken the initiative, being the largest and the most sought-for university of the world, wherein maximum number of the students are willing to take admissions with highest percentage from all over the world, because this time in our foreign student ratio admissions, more than 300 countries have, students from 300 countries have been granted admission in this university. So now you see the mandate of this university, how big it is. So when we constituted a 42-member committee, that 42-member committee also consisted of various teachers, various faculty members, the various stakeholders. That document we took before the Academic Council, the Standing Committee of the Academic Council on Academic Matters, then the Academic Council, and finally that document was adopted by the Executive Council on 31st August 2021. But even then also, there were few suggestions which were coming time and again to the university, that there are certain things which we are lacking behind. We are unable to match with the international standards of education. So as a result of that, we took up the review exercise again. When we took up this review exercise, The NEP cell was created under the chairpersonship of our Dean Academic Activities and Research, Professor Ratnabali. It also consisted of principals and several teachers, including various other stakeholders. When we talked about this document, that committee very respectfully came out with two frameworks. One framework was almost matching with the framework which was notified and approved by the EC on 31st August 2021, and another a little different framework with little less credit. With that framework, we went for our own internal discussions. After that, we went for discussions amongst the various stakeholders, which includes the heads of all the departments of the University of Delhi. We also had a discussions with the principals of the colleges. We also had the discussion with our teachers, duly represented by DUTA. We discussed both these structures and frameworks with them. A major consensus was coming out of all the three meetings that the framework which we have presented to you now is more viable framework for discussion and implementation. When we discussed this framework, we included, yesterday you must have seen how Ratnabali ji has presented the framework which we have seen. And if you now analyze the words which I said in my initial discussion, this framework covers the entire original values which are required or listed in the National Education Policy 2020. Even then also, after finalizing that framework, this framework, we talked about these frameworks, and then a structure was developed, how there was a need that we have to be in line with academic bank of credit, wherein a flexibility is to be provided to the students, that they can come in, they can go out after first year, second year, third year. And then we discussed, if they move out after first year, they should carry at least a minimum language of their subject concern, by virtue of which we can give them the certificate. So here, a more number of credit hours or more disciplines or subjects have been added as discipline-specific courses in this structure. Earlier structure was providing only 2 discipline-specific courses of 6 credit each. But after discussions with the various stakeholders, we brought it to 3 discipline-specific courses. In each semester they would read. So each would be carrying 4 credits. Credit is to be defined in own terms. It is open for discussion. How many lectures, how many tutorials, how many practicals, depending upon the requirements of course are concerned. Then if you see, we have also added the other contents of the subject, the skill enhancement courses, the vocational courses. If I bring your attention, when the National Education Policy document was envisaged, there were certain deadlines which has been prescribed in this document. The first deadline was up to 2025, 50% of the learners should have exposure to vocational courses. So that was the deadline prescribed by the National Education Policy. The second deadline was up to 2030, that higher education institutions to become multidisciplinary institutions. And then another 2035, that the gross enrollment ratio should increase to 50%. And then 2050, multidisciplinary universities or the institutions with more than 3,000 enrollment should be there in that place. Now, if you see the first step towards that, inclusion of a vocational education subject up to 2025. So in line with the National Education Policy 2020, we have brought in the curriculum changes in that framework, wherein value education, wherein the skill education has been incorporated as part of the UGC curriculum framework, which we have proposed now. In this curriculum framework, if a student move out after first year, at least a student would have at least a vocational education knowledge, and he or she would be able to at least earn his livelihood even after moving out. There is an option they can come in also after the gaps as provided by the central government. And mind it, all we know, very few number of students would move out of this course in between after first year or second year. But the students from this university who would move out, this university or this college, they are always welcome at any time without any further competition amongst themselves. But the students from other universities, we are allowing them also, but depending upon the infrastructure and other vacancy requirements at the level of the colleges, and definitely because more number of students would be looking for migrations or transfers to this university and these colleges. So probably keeping in mind, we might have to develop a system of lateral entry for those students who are not from our own universities and colleges is concerned. Apart from that, if you see this structure, after a thorough discussion, this structure was developed wherein it is an option which was given to the student that the student can choose their own subject. They can choose their own discipline specific electives, or they can choose the generic elective. So ultimately, we are planning to go away from the rigid boundaries of arts, science, and commerce, where a student is bound to study only X, Y, or Z subject with all limitations are concerned. So ultimately, through this framework, we are in very much tune with the National Education Policy 2020, wherein we are enabling the students to choose their own streams, choose their own subject of studies concerned. Then, as decided, as per the need of the HODs, we have also included a topic on research as part of our curriculum, which we think a student should read in third or fourth semester, so that if they wish to, or fifth or sixth semester, if they wish to opt their career for furtherance of research development. So when we talk about this curriculum framework, we talk about this, even this curriculum framework was having less number of credits, but when we added, so now if you see, the ultimate aim of the education must move towards less content and more towards learning about how to think critically and solve problems, how to be creative and multidisciplinary, how to innovate, adapt, and absorb new material in novel and changing fields. Now, if you see in these three perspectives, this curriculum framework is fulfilling all the requirements as envisioned under the National Education Policy 2020. So, in this curriculum framework, we thought that all our students, we are not depriving any student who are meritorious or who would get admissions to get a degree of honors after 3 years. The students who wish to move out after earning the requirements of credits as specified in the curriculum framework, they would be awarded honors degrees after third year also. But there are students who would not be having specific number of credits after 3 years in a specific stream, but then also we are giving them a liberal kind of an object, and we still continued with the existing policy wherein if a student opts for physics, chemistry, or maths, physics, chemistry, electronics, chemistry, botany, zoology, so BSc with life sciences, BSc with computer science, general, what we used to call as BSc pass degree. So there is a distinction, and still an avenue is there. We are not depriving the student of that kind of an opportunity also in this curriculum framework. Apart from that, people have created a kind of a misnomer wherein they are saying that earlier curriculum framework were having 4 structures and this is having only 1 structure. See, we have included everything in this structure as per the requirements of the students. A student who wish to pursue the language only, they have to choose the subjects in that way that they are pursuing a language. Discipline-specific course, discipline-specific electives, generic elective would decide about the nomenclature of degrees. But ultimately, a similar common structure is available, wherein a lot of confusion is not there as far as the final release of degree or award of certificate, diploma, degree with research and adjectives is there is concerned. So that is why university, I am thankful to my NEP cell, which comprised of various principals, which comprised of various teachers, which comprised of the students and other stakeholders. They thought it in such a way, instead of having so many structures, they decided that we should have a one structure wherein almost all the courses can fit in. And I think this document covers all those facets of that very subject is concerned. So I would not take much time of yours now, because there are again other learned speakers who are waiting for this thing. But if there are any questions, if there are any queries about the framework or any other issues are concerned, and I would like to reiterate two more things over here. The first, our Vice Chancellor has been reiterating it several times that whatever structure we have proposed, it would not lead to any reduction in workload is concerned. That is one concern. Number two, if you remember yesterday also, we have written a letter again to all the principals of all the colleges is concerned that you should fill all your vacant positions at the earliest. So ultimately, university is bound and committed to appoint and fill all the positions which are lying vacant in these colleges. So if we are saying this thing, that you fill all these positions at the earliest, so ultimately there is no intention of this university to reduce any kind of post is concerned or any workload is concerned is there. So that is one thing. Second thing, see, we are coming out, we came out with a structure in August 21. We are coming out with another structure for which the comments have already been invited up to 30th of January. So it means university is always willing and open for all kind of suggestions and would be willing to change anything is concerned. We may go ahead with a structure with suggestions, whatever suggestions are there, whatever our NEP cell would be able to accommodate, we would incorporate all those suggestions. After that, we would again go back to our academic council and executive council for consideration. It is only after their final approval we are going to implement this structure is concerned. Then, even then also, our Vice Chancellor has been very categorical in saying all these things. We are venturing into a structure. Tomorrow, if we feel that there are certain gaps in the structure which are not able to fulfill the dreams envisioned in the National Education Policy 2020, we would always be ready to review our structure again and again. So this is always an evolving structure, evolving policy. Till the time we are comfortable with our structure, we would keep on evolving ourselves and having more discussions, so that ultimately, with the center focus of the students, with the center focus of the teachers, we would be able to deliver the best as far as the national education policy and the curriculum framework is concerned. With these words, I convey my sincere thanks to the organizers, my own principal, Professor Ramaji, Director ILLL, Pankajji, Yuktiji, Jyotiji, all my colleagues who are present over here, and all my participants, not only from Delhi University and Delhi colleges, but also from other universities for listening to us patiently. And still, all your suggestions are most welcome, so that we can discuss, we can resolve our structure, we can finalize our structure and come out with a document which is beneficial for the students at a larger level. Thank you so much. Namaskar.
Thank you, Dr. Vikas ji. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Vikas.
Thank you.
It was such an insightful discourse, I would like to say. You started from 2019 when the policy came until January 2002. How did the university evolve and engaged with the policy? You brought it so well, sir. I would like to say that, you know, the students and the teachers who are with us today, there are more than 200, and many of them must be watching on YouTube and Facebook also live. If they have not read the policy, and specifically on higher education, you have brought all the fundamental ideas on the floor today, and they would have definitely got the understanding of the policy also, and how the policy is getting translated into the curricular framework at Delhi University. Such an explicit and lucid discourse. And we are very thankful on behalf of our director, Professor Pankaj Arora, on behalf of Professor Rama, Dr. Jyoti, we are organizing, but we really feel grateful to you that you have clarified so many points and also the kind of reassurances that you have given to all of us. It means a lot to us. I think it means a lot to all the faculty members and students. The kind of openness that you have shown, that also is very, 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 very satisfying for all of us as being part of academic processes and academic institutions. So once again, thank you very much, sir. I can see there are no questions as such. There was one question which was related to workload, but I think you have already answered that in your, so.
Here still I would like to add one more thing about the workload. Professor Rama has been part of our committee, NEP implementation cell. And you know how tough she is as a principal is concerned. So she has been very categorical in our discussions when we talk about generic elective subjects or discipline-specific electives. So we would be including as many as possible subjects as discipline-specific electives or generic electives. We also thought that there could be a possibility that for some students, one subject could be discipline-specific course. But there is a possibility for some other student, it could be an elective. So removing those boundaries and having more electives, having more subjects as generic electives, and the kind of, see, we have the best talented teachers as far as Delhi University is concerned. And I know they can develop their curriculum, they can develop their course in such a way that the students would definitely get attracted to these things. And then we talk about this workload is concerned. We also talked about, Madam Ramaji ko yaad hai, we also talked about कि generic elective में या discipline specific elective में हम कितने minimum student का workload लेके चलेंगे. तो हमने उसमें ये discuss किया कि depending upon our requirement, maybe 15 to 20 students या 20 students तक का हम group बना के चलेंगे. Now if you see 20 students का एक group होगा जहां पे हमारे 100 students हो रहे हैं, so ultimately 5 teachers would be required for teaching different kinds of generic elective and specific subject electives are concerned. So that thing would take care of those things are concerned. So there would not be any problem as far as workload is concerned. But still, we are open for anything. And we assure you once again, please, through this platform again, I request all the principals to please advertise all your vacant positions immediately and appoint all the teachers so that none of your posts remain vacant, and the fear is there that if post remains vacant and tomorrow it would be wiped out. No, please appoint all your teachers at the earliest possible, and we are there to support you in this effort. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Vikas. Dr. Vikas, और किसी कॉलेज में अगर वर्कलोड कम हो रहा हो ना, तो वो कॉलेज मेरे पास आ जाए अपना वर्कलोड लेकर, मैं उसका विदिन 5 मिनट्स वर्कलोड बढ़ा दूंगी. और कल जो है वाइस चांसलर सर ने, कल भी और वाइस चांसलर सर ने जो अपने 26 जनवरी की स्पीच थी, सर ने उसमें भी कहा था कोई पोस्ट हमारी इफेक्ट नहीं होगी, जितने लोग कॉलेज में हैं उससे ज्यादा ही होंगे, कम नहीं होंगे. हम सैंक्शन पोस्ट के बीच में कोई कम नहीं होने वाला. वर्कलोड तो हम बढ़ाने को तैयार, कहीं कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. प्लीज. थैंक यू डॉक्टर विकास.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
पंकज सर अनम्यूट कर लीजिए. पंकज सर, यू आर सेइंग समथिंग. पंकज सर अनम्यूट कर लीजिए. Is he trying to say? Okay, so I think he was trying to say something, Professor Pankaj, but I think he's not able to unmute. So once again, sir, thank you very much for bringing this clarity to all of us. With this, we move ahead in the program, and now I would request Dr. Jyoti to take it forward.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Vikas Gupta, for your lucid presentation. It has been really, very, very explicit in every sense of the word. Now, taking it forward, it's time to welcome the next speaker for today, Professor Jasvinder Singh ji, Principal Shri Guru Tegh Bahadur Khalsa College, University of Delhi. Professor Jasvinder has done his postdoctoral research in impact of irrigation on some aspects of agricultural development, a case study of Nagarjuna Sagar Command Area, Andhra Pradesh. Major research projects that Professor Jasvinder Singh is involved in include being the co-PI for e-PG Pathshala project awarded by the UGC to develop e-content for 16 papers for post-graduation in economics, business economics, commerce, and psychology under NMEICT. He is also the co-PI for Teaching and Learning Center at Khalsa College under PMMM NMTT scheme of Ministry of Education. Professor Jasvinder has been member of UGC committee to review the autonomous status of colleges in 2009 and 14. He has been the convener of UGC committee to draft undergraduate courses for CBCS University of Delhi in 2015. He has been a member of NAC team in 2015 and so on. Sir, it's a true privilege for all of us to have you on board for this talk today. Now, without consuming more time, I would request you to start with your address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Jyoti ji, and let me...
Namaskar, sir.
Namaskar, ma'am. Namaskar, namaskar ji, namaskar. Let me express my gratitude. Can you hear my voice, Jyoti?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me express my gratitude to Professor Rama and Professor Pankaj and the entire teams, both the teams of Hansraj and ILLL for inviting me and sharing, giving me this opportunity to share my views on some of the aspects which are there. But let me express gratitude to all the participants who are there and who are making very constructive suggestions. Many of our so-called apprehensions were addressed by the Vice Chancellor himself. And later on, the clarifications were given yesterday by Professor Ratnabali and Professor Pankaj. And today, Vikas ji has covered it in detail. So I don't think there would be much of the problems, but yes, initially, whenever, a new structure is adopted, the institutions, the university, the colleges, they will have to, bring in some changes. They will have to reformulate some of their timetables and also, look at it in a different style, because the perspective of the national education policy is little larger. Let me share some of the slides of the national education policy so that we can understand against, the background against which this draft has been proposed by the University of Delhi. I will share the screen if you allow me.
Yes, sir. So there's a share screen button. Yeah, we can see the screen. Yeah.
Okay. Even though, I prepared, this for some other presentation, and I gave the presentation somewhere else, but I will come to the main issues which are there. What are our current problems in the higher education system as such? We are facing severely, fragmented higher education ecosystems. How, our sciences and our social sciences or humanities, or even the engineering programs, they are completely disjointed. There is no relationship between the two, whereas the requirements of the time are different. So that is why I think the new education policy has focused more on, the multidisciplinary approach, and also because all of us are under pressure to complete our courses. This was taken care of, in the CBCS to some extent, and later on it was slightly modified also under the LOCF. But still, we have not been able to lay adequate emphasis on the cognitive skills of the students. Even today, after the LOCF was adopted in University of Delhi, even though the features of this was there in the earlier version of CBCS, and because of the pandemic, we find that, the full implementation of the LOCF is not there. So it is very difficult to assess, what is the fate of this LOCF, whether we have been able to achieve those objectives or not. And I said, the rigid separation of disciplines, limited access, particularly in socio-economically advantaged areas, with few higher education institutions that teach in local languages. These are the problems area which the national education policy has already identified. And also, the institutions and the teachers, they have very limited autonomy in terms of designing the content. I will come to these areas, when we discuss the framework, when I will be giving my observations on that. There is very less mechanisms for merit-based career management progression of faculty and institution leaders. Now, you will find that most of us, either the vice chancellors or the principals or the registrars or the deans, we are just making the systems run. But there is a very less scope of innovation. There are many observations, why our university systems are not in the top 200 or 300 universities, the QS ranking and others. So it speaks volumes for that. And I think part of the reason is this. And the research at most of the universities is literally, missing. Leaving aside some universities like University of Delhi, if you look at the regional universities, many of them, they are just running for funds. They are unable to make both ends meet in terms of deliverance. So therefore, it is the higher education systems are facing a huge challenge in terms of making their goals meet, especially in terms of research component. And there are very large affiliating universities, and the National Education Policy has rightly emphasized that over a period of time, when the universities, they become research intensive or teaching intensive, they will be given adequate autonomy. Adequate autonomy in terms of designing their courses, adequate autonomy in terms of running these courses, and also in terms of their social responsibility, that how their courses are running in the system. Yes, what are the changes proposed in this, and how our structure is responding to that? As I said, the problem areas, the education policy is emphasizing the multidisciplinary approach, where the students should be able to choose the courses, and the institution should allow this flexibility. And, and this cannot be best practiced or adopted in a university other than University of Delhi. University of Delhi is a city, city-centric university. All our colleges are situated here within the geographical boundary of Delhi. And if some of the colleges are, they do not have, let us say, for instance, the applied science courses, Khalsa College may not be having. So can we look up to other colleges in terms of this? So this is a very, very central thesis. We are not offering these courses because we do not have home science, for instance, medicine in that matter, microbiology courses, biotechnology, these are the courses which the students, they want to learn, but they are not getting trained because the facilities within the institutions are not there. So I think this framework should allow this flexibility of allowing the students to complete their courses from the sister institutions. Yes, revamping curriculum, pedagogy, assessment. Yes, assessment and pedagogy are very, very essential for making any course, for making any structure workable. It is not only the deliverance, it is the way which you communicate with the students and you take their responses. And we just cannot discuss, the structuring of the courses if we do not have the assessment parameters. These days, the assessment tools are totally different. This is not the end of the semester examination. Internal assessments also, needs to be re-looked at. And there are various, assessment tools which are being advocated. Yes, the education policy has also emphasized the establishment of a National Research Foundation, from where these institutions will have access for the research grants. I will, come to this area where Vikas has also partially touched that by 2035, the National Education Policy intends to increase the gross enrollment higher education, gross enrollment ratio in higher education to 50%, which is currently around 27%, 27.5%. 2 years ago, when it was adopted in 2019, it was 26.3, but nowadays it is 27.3 or 27.5. So, if we really want to double the enrollment in higher education institutions, then the current structures, they do not allow this flexibility. The institutions will have to have more flexibility in terms of admitting more students, and the students may be allowed to take some courses online, and the institution should be allowed to admit more students. I would request the university system, I would rather appeal to the Ministry of Education that do not restrict the entry of the teachers. Let the institutions be little innovative. Let them introduce more courses, and some of the courses which are available, maybe the value addition courses or the skill enhancement courses, which the institutions may not be in a position to offer, then these courses can be completed from other institutions also. Then we are the first step that the university has adopted is to adopt a structure for 3 to 4 years, and with of course multiple entry and exit programs, and the PG programs are also going to be tuned up in the subsequent year. MPhil has been discontinued, and perhaps we are heading towards an era where we will have the 5 years integrated bachelor's or master's courses. Those things will still unfold, but that will depend upon the university and the performance of the current structure which is being adopted. And also the credit transfers for which the academic bank of credits has been scheduled to be set up by the University Grants Commission. University of Delhi has already done some exercise in this attempt. You have seen that during our annual convocation last time, more than 2 lakh students were given the degrees online with the click of the button. It was made possible because the examination branch was in a position to accumulate the credits, systematically arrange it, and then transfer it to the students. So, these, then over a period of time, if we really want to be in the higher education ranking, if we want to figure in the high rankings internationally, then the education policy says that the universities over a period of time will be predominantly either multidisciplinary education universities, and they will have also to be the research intensive university. That means the teaching and research will go hand in hand. Maybe in some of the universities, the teaching will get the priority, and in some the research will get, but I think these two aspects are very finely, need to be finely tuned with each other so that this can be done. Now, I will not go further into this, but I will share, come to the structure which has been proposed by our university. Just let me see where this is. Yeah, can you see that, Jyoti ji?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you see, this is the structure which has been proposed. And if you look at, the holistic approach which the national education policy is emphasizing, that the student should have the holistic approach in terms of, the major courses that he chooses, and also which is, somehow it is balanced by his choice of other disciplines And this education, this framework, this structure, if we look at the GE courses, it right from the first point itself, it offers this flexibility. You know, there is a point of criticism that the credits have been reduced from 6 to 4, but the number of the courses in the, if you look at the first disciplines and the discipline specific courses, core courses, there may be a flexibility. This will be decided by the concerned departments and the committee of courses, that the third course maybe we can convert this into the practical course, where the students may be given the first two core courses, they will be taught theoretically, and in the perhaps in the third course the practical component of both the courses can be accommodated, and this will vary from one discipline to another. So as far as the core disciplines are concerned, if the student chooses this, both the practical and the theory part can be accommodated, and I think the committee which has proposed this, they should also propose how they wish to look into this particular aspect. But 4 credit course, as was emphasized by the Vice Chancellor also, this is in line with the international credit system, so that our students, when they seek admissions in other universities, the universities which are in the reckoning, which are good ranking universities, they do not feel any disadvantage in terms of their credits. And rather, I feel that the the burden of the students has been lessened, and both they will be, while doing the core discipline, they will also have the facility to choose the minor disciplines in the form of the generic electives, and also simultaneously they will be developing their skill. This skill may be the course specific skills, or this may be across different disciplines. Similarly, it was felt by the language teachers that the language component is perhaps is suffering. It is not. All that has been done is that if the student is choosing, he will seriously complete 2 credits in one semester and maybe 2 credits in the next semester. So as far as the total credits in a language course or in the skill enhancement courses is concerned, I don't think there is any disadvantage as perhaps some of the people are thinking. Rather, here, if you look at the value addition courses of various forms, it may be a course in psychology, it may be a course in sports, it may be a course in yoga, it may be a course in our liberal arts, maybe sculpture, which many of our students are actually they are willing to do, but they do not get the opportunity. So here I think they can do this, and after completing the first year, they will be, some of them, they feel that yes, they need to leave the education system at this stage and they want to work somewhere, or maybe if they wish to transfer, they can they will be awarded a certificate course with the 44 credits, which is a reasonably good level of credits. And I think the first year, both these semesters should be the formative years, and the courses will be sequenced in right from 1st to 6th. The discipline specific core courses will be sequenced in such a way that they acquire, the students are equipped with a certain level of skill at this stage. And then after 2 years, the second year again, the structure is broadly the same, with only the exception is that here the students will have the choice either to go with the discipline specific electives or with the generic electives. If they choose a different specific elective from the other stream other than their major stream, they can, this will be called as the generic elective, and after 2 years they will be awarded the diploma. The beauty of this is that as the national education policy has the objective of developing the universities research intensive and teaching intensive, then from I think the 5th and the 6th semesters, the students they start getting little intensive training in their own disciplines. by the time they complete the third year, 18 discipline-specific courses will be taught to them, along with, the requisite number of the generic elective courses, which will be offered to them. At least, they will be covering the 4 generic elective courses, which is the practice in the current system also. But yes, they will be having this discipline-specific elective trainings also, along with the skill component, which is there and which they can do at least. Skill releases a lot of tension, which the stress which the student faces, the psychological tension which the students go through. And I think through the skill and through the fun courses, through not fun, I mean, seriously, for instance, sports is not fun, but sports gives you a lot of resilience. It builds your physique. It gives you a lot of confidence. It gives you, it promotes your spirit of participating in a team. And all these are the very important, ingredients of a personality building. So after 3 years, the students will be given the honors degree. And, the 7th and the 8th semester, yes, here, a very serious stage the student is entering. And this is true everywhere. If you go to the Western universities, perhaps Indian universities, especially University of Delhi, where the honors teaching is very intensive, our undergraduate programs are perhaps better than some of the good universities. These are comparable to, any good university in the body, maybe the Ivy League institutions, which we quite often refer to, or some of the other universities. But yes, in the 5th and the 6th semester, the students are given a complete go-ahead with choice of their career. If they wish to write a dissertation, they can go ahead with this. If they want to complete a project, they can go ahead with this. And if they want to develop the entrepreneurial skills, they can do with this. And the choice is the dissertation either on the major subject or on the minor. I think project is a project. It is not that it will be BSc honors with a minor project or with a major dissertation or a minor dissertation. Dissertation is a dissertation, and the research work will be completed by the students after going through the research methodology program, which will be offered in the 6th and the 7th semester. Some students can complete in the 6th semester if they wish to do this. So this will, after the 8th semester, when a student is completing his dissertation or his project, he has been completely equipped to go to the job market. And if he wishes to pursue higher education further, he can go to the postgraduate courses or maybe research, as it has been emphasized that after completing his dissertation in the 8th semester, the students perhaps will be admitted to the PhD program, maybe with some foundational courses in that, or maybe with some research courses in that. But here the student will have a complete choice to go. If he wishes to remain within the academics, he can pursue very serious academics in terms of post-graduation or in terms of research. But even if he wishes to go for the job market, he wishes to join the corporate sector, or maybe he wishes to appear for some competitive examinations or wants to join the corporate sector, he will be completely equipped. And at least the framework does allow this flexibility to the students to face all the situations. And his internship programs, here I think the colleges and the departments will have to work out mechanisms with the corporate sectors so that the apprenticeships or the internships can be offered on a much liberal basis. And there are in fact institutions. Our students are in a certain sense, they are privileged because city of Delhi is surrounded by many corporate entities, Gurgaon, or for instance, Noida or Ghaziabad. There are many institutions, there are many corporate entities which are offering, internships or apprenticeships to the students. I don't think in Khalsa College, if a student has opted, or if a student is willing to complete the apprenticeship or some internship during the vacations, no student has faced any difficulty. So this rather is this framework proposes to formalize it, and it intends to give credit for the work which the student is doing. So yes, there may be some issues which my colleagues in the teaching component may be giving. The university will look into those issues. But as far as the structure is concerned, I think it is competitive. It is comparable to the best in the world, and it has the potential to make our students responsible students. It will definitely give them an opportunity to be very successful, responsible citizens of our country. This is all that I wanted to say in this. But yes, if there are any issues, we can discuss it later.
Thank you so much, sir, for making us walk through the weaknesses in the present structure bit by bit, and how the newly proposed structure promises to give some kind of solution. You gave a very explicit overview of the structure to the participants again. We had a glimpse of the structure yesterday also in Professor Ratnabali's session. We thank you for giving us this opportunity to have a look at the comparative study of the ongoing and the newly proposed structure through your glasses. It was truly insightful. Thank you so much, sir, for sparing your time for this program. I see a question in the QA section. Can we take that up right away, sir? Or
absolutely, absolutely, no problem.
So, Ms. Divya is asking, when will the student become eligible for PG, after third year or fourth year?
You see, this structure is giving you this flexibility. After the third year, if the student is completing and exiting the the degree program, then he will have to have 2 years postgraduate program. And if if he completes the fourth year in the college or in the undergraduate program, then the university, in the next stage, there are still 4 years left for this. The universities will have to develop 1 year postgraduate programs. Perhaps the focus is in the 2 years program, and the 3 years programs may be different. But yes, the student, if he wishes to pursue the PhD, he can straightway go after the fourth year. This is what has been proposed in the National Education Policy.
So there's one problem which has been cited in a query here, which relates to infrastructure, like rooms and labs. So I think that cannot be taken up.
I think I am the right person where this question has been raised. Okay. You look at Hansraj College, you look at Hindu College, you look at Khalsa College. During the last few years, all of us, we have worked out the mechanisms. The UGC also gave us some funds. The colleges also collected some funds to, upgrade their infrastructure. No, infrastructure in terms of infrastructure is not only in terms of the buildings. Infrastructure in terms of accessibility, in terms of connectivity, in terms of books, in terms of providing other lab infrastructure to the students. These are the issues, but for instance, University of Delhi is one of the highest, what should I say, subsidized university. The fee structure is so moderate, which of course needs to be slightly looked into again. It is true that the government may not be giving us all the funds, and we have already started facing difficulties in some certain components. But yes, the colleges, they do have some funds, and they should be ready to upgrade the infrastructure. I do not think so far we have faced any difficulty in terms of creating infrastructure for the students in the science labs or in the computer labs, or in the new courses, for instance, commerce or mathematics, where practical component has been added. The colleges have responded adequately. Whenever the courses were redesigned or restructured, all the colleges in University of Delhi have responded very positively, and there are hardly any complaints on this account.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you,
Wonderful
sir. Thank you
session.
very
Yeah.
much. Thank you, Jasvinder sir.
Thank you, ji. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. So now let us welcome our next speaker for today's session, respected Professor Niranjan Kumar. Professor Niranjan is a professor at Department of Hindi, Faculty of Arts, University of Delhi. He is presently the Dean, Planning, University of Delhi. Professor Niranjan's research interests include literary and cultural studies, media, journalism, fiction, language pedagogy, Dalit literature, Indian society and culture, and Indian education. He has authored 4 books and published more than 200 popular articles. His recent administrative assignments that he is engaged in include Dean Planning, University of Delhi, Chairman Oversight Committee of Courses, University of Delhi, Member NEP Cell, University of Delhi, Member NEP Implementation Committee, University of Delhi. He is ex-chairman Governing Body Bharti College and so on. Sir, without consuming more time, I would request you to enlighten the participants with your take on today's theme. Over to you.
नमस्कार जी, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपका। आज के कार्यक्रम के अध्यक्ष प्रोफेसर बलरामपाणी जी, दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय के रजिस्ट्रार प्रोफेसर विकास गुप्ता जी, डीन ऑफ स्टूडेंट वेलफेयर प्रोफेसर पंकज अरोड़ा जी, हंसराज कॉलेज की प्राचार्य प्रोफेसर रमा जी, डीन रिक्रूटमेंट प्रोफेसर रवि टेकचंदानी जी, प्रोफेसर युक्ति शर्मा जी, डॉक्टर ज्योति भोला जी, उपस्थित शिक्षकगण और संभवतः बहुत सारे शोध छात्र और छात्र भी जुड़े होंगे। सबको मेरा सादर नमस्कार। दोस्तों, when I was asked by Professor Ramaji to talk something on this undergraduate curriculum framework of Delhi University, तो मुझे थोड़ा लगा कि इस पर तो सारे लोग बोल ही रहे हैं, और for last one day I'm hearing the lectures of the various galaxies of Delhi University, including our honorable Vice Chancellor. Or I don't think I have many things left to add. But since I have been given a responsibility to talk something about this undergraduate curriculum framework, तो मेरी थोड़ी जिम्मेदारी होती है कि कुछ बातें जो शायद छूट गई हैं और छूटी ना भी हो तो उसको उस ढंग से शायद रखा नहीं जा सका, जिसके बारे में मैं जोड़ने की कुछ कोशिश करता हूं। पहले मैं एक सैद्धांतिक प्रश्न से अपनी बात शुरू करना चाहता हूं। यह प्रश्न है कि शिक्षा का उद्देश्य या शिक्षा का लक्ष्य क्या होता है या क्या होना चाहिए। जो मेरी अपनी समझ है, बहुत सारे बड़े बड़े विद्वानों ने, मनीषियों ने, विचारकों ने अपने अपने तरह से अरस्तु से लेकर चाणक्य तक, और आधुनिक काल में महात्मा गांधी से लेकर टैगोर और बहुत सारे विद्वानों ने बहुत सारी बातें कही हैं। सबको अगर ध्यान से पढ़ा जाए और सबका निचोड़ लिया जाए तो उस निचोड़ को मैं अपने तरीके से ऐसे देखता हूं कि शिक्षा के 3 प्रमुख उद्देश्य होते हैं: छात्र या व्यक्ति का हित, समाज या राष्ट्र का हित, और तीसरा ज्ञान या स्वयं शिक्षा का हित। इस संदर्भ में आप जो हमारे दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी अंडर ग्रेजुएट करिकुलम फ्रेमवर्क को देखें तो तीनों बातों पर मैं अभी कोई निष्कर्ष नहीं दूंगा, लेकिन इस पर हमें इस कसौटी पर ही कसना चाहिए कि क्या यह छात्रों के हित में है, यस और नो। क्या यह देश या समाज के हित में है, यस और नो। और क्या यह स्वयं ज्ञान के हित में है कि नहीं। इस बात पर मैं थोड़ा आगे आने के पहले एक बात कहना चाहता हूं कि हम जानते हैं कि NEP 2020 के आलोक में इससे नई जो हमारा अंडर ग्रेजुएट जो करिकुलम फ्रेमवर्क बना है, इसके बनने में और NEP 2020 के बनने की जो पूरी प्रक्रिया है उसमें आपको एक समानता दिखाई पड़ती है। वह समानता यह है कि NEP 2020 is a national policy and the head of the administration of this country is Prime Minister of India. आप देखेंगे कि NEP 2020 के बनने में प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी की बहुत ही सक्रिय भागीदारी थी। अगर आप में से जो लोग, क्योंकि मैं मीडिया वॉचर हूं और मीडिया से थोड़ा जुड़ाव है मेरा, तो अब याद कीजिए जब NEP ड्राफ्ट फाइनलाइज हो रहा था और फर्स्ट जब ड्राफ्ट पब्लिक में आ चुका था, फर्स्ट प्राइमरी ड्राफ्ट, उसके बाद उसको जब बहुत सारे लोगों के निष्कर्ष सुझाव लिए गए और उसे जब जारी करने के पहले अंतिम बार जब ड्राफ्ट तैयार हुआ, तो अंतिम दिन प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने लगातार 11-12 घंटे तक उस ड्राफ्ट के एक एक क्लॉज पर चर्चा किया और उसके बाद ये पॉलिसी फाइनलाइज हुई थी। वेरी कोइंसिडेंटली इन आवर दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी आल्सो, when this undergraduate curriculum framework was getting finalized, our honorable vice chancellor, he was not only the final day, even since beginning he has been the part of this undergraduate curriculum framework under whose visionary supervision this draft was finalized and now it is in the public. तो एक बड़ी समानता मुझे दिखाई पड़ती है दोनों में। अगर इस अंडरग्रेजुएट करिकुलम फ्रेमवर्क की बात करें तो इसमें जो 4-5 चीजें जो प्रमुख बिंदु हैं, जिस पर हमारे सारे पूर्व वक्ताओं ने अपने अपने तरीके से चीजों को रखा, लेकिन फिर मैं बहुत ही पॉइंटेडली इन 4-5 बिंदुओं के बारे में चर्चा करना चाहता हूं। आप में से कुछ लोगों ने कल ही मेरा इस पर एक आर्टिकल भी छपा था। आप में से जिन लोगों ने उस आर्टिकल को पढ़ा होगा तो कुछ चीजें आपको लगेगा कि वो बातें भी आ रही हैं इस आज की परिचर्चा में। तो आप देखेंगे कि अंडरग्रेजुएट जो करिकुलम फ्रेमवर्क है, इसके 4-5 प्रमुख बिंदु, और ये जो बिंदु जिनकी बात मैं करने जा रहा हूं वह बिंदु ठीक उन्हीं जो 3 कसौटियां इन द बिगिनिंग आई डिलाइनेटेड द एम्स ऑफ एजुकेशन, स्टूडेंट, द नेशन एंड द नॉलेज एज सच। इन तीनों बिंदुओं पर देखेंगे कैसे इससे जुड़ता हुआ दिखाई पड़ता है। पहली चीज है इस जो 4-5 बिंदुओं में, पहला बिंदु है कि छात्र केंद्रिकता, स्टूडेंट सेंट्रिसिटी, उसके बाद रोजगार परकता एंड शोध परकता, ऑल्सो रिसर्च प्रोस्पेक्ट, फिर नेशनल इंटरेस्ट एज वेल एज इंटरनेशनलिज्म। ये 5 ऐसे बिंदु हैं जिसके आधार पर इस पूरे अंडरग्रेजुएट करिकुलम फ्रेमवर्क को आप डिकोड कर सकते हैं, और न केवल डिकोड कर सकते हैं बल्कि ये 5 बिंदु ऐसे हैं जो इसके कोर बिंदु हैं और जिसकी वजह से ये एक अपने आप में एक ऐसा यूनिक डॉक्यूमेंट तैयार हुआ है which has the capacity to transform the education paradigm of this country, particularly the undergraduate educational paradigm. अगर हम स्टूडेंट सेंट्रिसिटी की बात करें तो आप देखेंगे कि स्टूडेंट सेंट्रिसिटी का मतलब क्या होता है कि केवल सभी छात्र ना होकर हर छात्र को ध्यान में रखना। हर छात्र अपने आप में एक इकाई होता है, और जब मैं कह रहा हूं हर छात्र इकाई है, इसके पीछे मुझे पूरे में भारत देश को सामने रख रहा हूं। हम जानते हैं कि हमेशा हम कहते हैं कि इंडिया इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट डाइवर्स कंट्री ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, रादर इट इज द मोस्ट डाइवर्स कंट्री ऑफ द वर्ल्ड। सामाजिक विविधता, आर्थिक विविधता, भौगोलिक विविधता, ज्योग्राफिकल डाइवर्सिटी बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है दोस्तों, और इसके साथ साथ जो एजुकेशनल बैकग्राउंड की विविधता। हम जानते हैं कि 12वीं कक्षा में जो स्कूली बच्चे हैं, पहली से लेकर 12वीं तक के पढ़ कर आ रहे हैं, एक विशुद्ध गांव से पढ़ने वाले बच्चे जहां पर मिनिमम इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर भी नहीं होता, और दूसरी तरफ दिल्ली के या मुंबई के या दून के स्कूल टाइप से जो बड़े बड़े स्कूल हैं देश के, वहां से भी विद्यार्थी दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी में आते हैं। तो सारी विविधताओं को ध्यान में रखते हुए इस स्टूडेंट सेंट्रिसिटी की बात आपको यहाँ दिखाई पड़ती है। जब मैं कहता हूं कि बहुत सारे विविधताओं से बच्चे आ रहे हैं, हर विद्यार्थी की since having a different kind of backgrounds, they have very unique kind of interest. They have own aptitude as well as their unique kind of needs also, apart from getting good job and good education. तो ये जो अभिरुचियां हैं, अभियोग्यताएं हैं और उनकी जो जरूरतें हैं, इन सब को ध्यान में रखकर इस पूरे के पूरा जो अंडर ग्रेजुएट करिकुलम फ्रेमवर्क है, इसके स्ट्रक्चर को बनाया गया है। कि अब तक पहले क्या देखते थे हम, ये हम लोग ने बहुत NEP के बारे में बात करते रहे कि जो साइंस स्ट्रीम के बच्चों को भी ह्यूमैनिटीज पढ़ने का मौका मिलेगा या कॉमर्स के बच्चों को ऐसा मौका मिलेगा, वो चीजों की एक लचीलापन होगा। लेकिन इस लचीलेपन में आप देखें कि इतनी अभी भी दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी में या कुछ एकाध विश्वविद्यालयों में आप देखेंगे कि साइंस के बस बच्चे हैं तो इकोनॉमिक्स पढ़ लेते हैं, या एक आध और विषय उनको ह्यूमैनिटीज सोशल साइंसेस के मिल सकते हैं। पहली बार इनको एक साथ बहुत ज्यादा ऑप्शंस मिलेंगे जो जेनेरिक इलेक्टिव कोर्सेज है, ना केवल जेनेरिक इलेक्टिव कोर्सेज बल्कि जो वैल्यू एडिशन कोर्सेज है। इसमें आपको अपने विषय से बाहर अनेक विषयों को पढ़ने का मौका मिलने जा रहा है, जो उनकी जरूरतों, उनकी योग्यताओं, उनकी अभिरुचियों के अनुसार होगा दोस्तों। और एक महत्वपूर्ण बात क्या है, मैं बताना चाहता हूं कि इस बारे में चर्चा हुई पहले भी, एक साथ पहली बार आपको मेजर और माइनर दोनों डिग्री मिल सकती है। अभी तक होता था फिजिक्स ऑनर्स है तो चलो फिजिक्स ऑनर्स मिल गया आपको, या हिंदी का ऑनर्स है तो यू आर ऑनर्स ऑफ हिंदी ओनली। लेकिन अब आपको फिजिक्स इकोनॉमिक्स ऑनर्स के साथ साथ इकोनॉमिक्स ऑनर्स इन मेजर इन इकोनॉमिक्स ऑनर्स के साथ साथ माइनर इन हिंदी का भी डिग्री मिलेगी एक साथ आपके डिग्री में। ये एक नई चीज होने जा रही है। ऑन फिजिक्स ऑनर्स विद मेजर इन फिजिक्स ऑनर्स विद माइनर इन, यू कैन थिंक ऑफ म्यूजिक ऑल्सो, और इट कैन बी सोशियोलॉजी, अगर आपके सोशियोलॉजी में रुचि है, और एंथ्रोपोलॉजी में रुचि है। जो लोग एंथ्रोपोलॉजी के यहाँ फैकल्टी मेंबर्स होंगे, हम जानते हैं कि एंथ्रोपोलॉजी इज वेरी मच रिलेटेड टू दिस जेनेटिक्स एंड ऑल, और आर्कियोलॉजी एज वेल। तो आप एंथ्रोपोलॉजी के साथ साथ या जेनेटिक्स या बायोलॉजी के साथ साथ एंथ्रोपोलॉजी में माइनर, या एंथ्रोपोलॉजी के साथ साथ आर्कियोलॉजी में माइनर आप ले सकते हैं, हिस्ट्री में माइनर ले सकते हैं। मेजर एंड माइनर एक साथ, जो पहली बार दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय में बल्कि इस पूरे देश में मौका मिलने जा रहा है। और ये बात मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूं कि ना केवल इससे विद्यार्थियों को लचीलापन तो है, दे विल हैव वैरायटी ऑफ चॉइसेस टू ऑप्ट फॉर द सब्जेक्ट्स, लेकिन साथ साथ यह भी महत्वपूर्ण है कि दिस इज समथिंग विच इज इन प्लेस इन द टॉप मोस्ट यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ द वर्ल्ड। कि इंटरनेशनलिज्म की जो बात मैंने आपको कही थी, ये इंटरनेशनलिज्म आपको यहाँ पर दिखाई पड़ने जा रहा है। इंटरनेशनलिज्म का ये एक एस्पेक्ट है, इंटरनेशनलिज्म के और भी कई बिंदु हैं जिसके बारे में थोड़ा सा मैं आगे आना चाहूंगा जब आगे हम चर्चा करेंगे। इंटरनेशनलिज्म का एक बिंदु है कि जिसमें आप यू विल हैव वैरायटी ऑफ चॉइसेस एंड मेजर एंड माइनर एट द सेम टाइम इन वन पर्टिकुलर बैचलर डिग्री। एक नई बात है, एक बहुत ही अनोखी बात है इस अंडर ग्रेजुएट करिकुलम फ्रेमवर्क की, और जिसके लिए हमारे माननीय वाइस चांसलर महोदय और उसके पहले हमारा दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी का यूजीसी का, और नॉट यूजीसी बल्कि जो NEP 2020 का ड्राफ्ट है, और जिसको लागू करने में बहुत बड़ी भूमिका इस दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय की होगी। मैं बात करना चाहता हूं दोस्तों महात्मा गांधी से। महात्मा गांधी क्या कहते थे? महात्मा गांधी कहते थे कि ऑल गुड आइडियाज एंड मीजर्स आर नथिंग विदाउट इट्स इम्प्लीमेंटेशन। नेहरू ने भी कभी कहा था कि थॉट विदाउट एक्शन इज सिंपली ए वर्स। सारे बड़े मनीषी ऐसी बात कहते हैं। कल माननीय कुलपति महोदय ने एरिस्टोटल की बात की थी इस संदर्भ में, या चाणक्य को उद्धृत किया था उन्होंने। सरदार पटेल यही कहते हैं, सुहास यही कहते हैं, दुनिया के सारे विद्वान यही कहते हैं। तो उसका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन, और इम्प्लीमेंटेशन भी इतने अच्छे तरीके से दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय ने किया है, जिसके लिए दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय को इस देश का इतिहास, खास तौर से शिक्षा का इतिहास हमेशा याद रखेगा। क्योंकि अगर इस जो चीज हम लोगों ने किया है आज। दूसरी बात जो महत्वपूर्ण इस अंडर ग्रेजुएट करिकुलम फ्रेमवर्क की मुझे दिखाई पड़ती है कि इट इज फर्स्ट टाइम इन द हिस्ट्री ऑफ मॉडर्न इंडिया और रादर इंडिपेंडेंट इंडिया दैट हम लोगों ने मैकाले मॉडल से छुटकारा पाने की एक कोशिश की है। मैकाले के बारे में हम जानते हैं, मैकाले ने 1835, मैकाले ने क्या कहा था कि हमारी जो शिक्षा होने जा रही है उसमें जिन लोगों को हम शिक्षा देंगे, रंग रूप में वह तो भारतीय होंगे, लेकिन, या उसको मैं अगर कंप्यूटर की भाषा में कहूं तो हार्डवेयर तो उनका इंडियन होगा, लेकिन अपने टेस्ट, अपने ओरिएंटेशन, अपने थिंकिंग पैटर्न में वो ब्रिटिशर होंगे। यानी उनका सॉफ्टवेयर ब्रिटिश होगा, हार्डवेयर तो इंडियन होगा लेकिन सॉफ्टवेयर उनका ब्रिटिश होगा। और उसके साथ साथ मैकाले का अगला उद्देश्य क्या था? He wanted to just make clerks, क्लरिकल लोग जो ज्यादा सोचने और समझने के लिए नहीं, सिर्फ बाबू बनाने की बात थी, क्लरिकल स्टाफ। और उसी का नतीजा है कि आज देखें दोस्तों कि हमारी जो पूरी शिक्षा पद्धति है वह पूरा का पूरा पुस्तकीय या क्लासरूम तक सीमित होता है, प्योरली बुकिश और द क्लासरूम सेंट्रिक। जो रियल लाइफ से प्रैक्टिकल लाइफ एट लार्ज से हमारे जैसे विद्यार्थी वास्तविक दुनिया से कटे होते हैं, और इसी वजह से उनका जो पुस्तकीय ज्ञान है उसका व्यावहारिक जीवन में या रोजगार में कोई उपयोग नहीं हो पाता। यह अनायास नहीं कि आप अंडर ग्रेजुएट कर लेते हैं, मास्टर्स कर लेते हैं, यहां तक कि पीएचडी भी कर लेते हैं, लेकिन रोजगार के लिए भटकते रहते हैं। आए दिन अब मीडिया में रिपोर्ट्स देखते हैं कि एक छोटी सी पोस्ट, चपरासी की पोस्ट आती है, and there are not hundreds or thousands, lakhs of application for that particular post of a PN, where not only undergrad or masters, even PhD students apply for that. What is the reason behind? They are not able to get any employment anywhere. They are not fit for getting the new or emerging kind of employment which is now evolving in this country or the world at large. Not only that, they are not also fit for any self-employment. स्वरोजगार के लिए भी लायक नहीं बचते। And what यह है क्या? इस देश के जो हमारे युवा हैं, इस युवा के जो लंबा समय उन्होंने गुजारा अंडरग्रेड में और मास्टर्स में और पीएचडी इत्यादि में, उनके न केवल समय की बर्बादी, उनके धन की बर्बादी है, उनके ऊर्जा की बर्बादी है, ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेस की बर्बादी है, and indirectly it is the loss of this nation also. और इसीलिए पहली बार इस मैकाले मॉडल से उबरते हुए, आप में से अभी कह रहे थे ये प्रोफेसर जसविंदर जी या प्रोफेसर विकास जी और प्रोफेसर पाणी जी, या कल हमारे प्रोफेसर पंकज जी ने और प्रोफेसर रत्नावली जी ने और ऑनरेबल वाइस चांसलर सर ने कहा कि पहली बार दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी के स्टूडेंट्स को इंटर्नशिप या अप्रेंटिसशिप या प्रोजेक्ट करने का मौका मिलने जा रहा है, and it will be for 4 semesters. Not only that, they can in their last year, that is in the 7th and 8th semester, they can go into entrepreneurship also. बहुत बड़ी घटना है दोस्तों, पहली बार जो शिक्षा को रियल लाइफ से, प्रैक्टिकल लाइफ से जोड़ने की कोशिश होने जा रही है। और महत्वपूर्ण बात क्या है, इनके नंबर जुड़ेंगे। बहुत बड़ी घटना है ये। आप देखेंगे कि ये बात आपको लगता है कि अगेन आई विल कोट इंटरनेशनल यूनिवर्सिटीज, जहां पर ये तो अनिवार्य रूप से होता है। मुझे अमेरिका के कई विश्वविद्यालयों में पढ़ाने का मौका मिला है, और अमेरिकी विश्वविद्यालयों में मैंने पढ़ाते हुए देखा, कैलिफोर्निया में पढ़ाया मैंने, मिशिगन में या एरिजोना में, और भी कई यूनिवर्सिटीज, हार्वर्ड वगैरह में घूमता रहा, यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ विस्कॉन्सिन, यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ साइंस, स्कूल ऑफ जो यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ वाशिंगटन। तो मैंने देखा कि सब जगह, लगभग सारे देश में, अमेरिका में यही स्थिति है। सेम अप्लाइज टू यूरोप ऑल्सो। और ये इंटर्नशिप, अप्रेंटिसशिप, प्रोजेक्ट, ये इतनी बड़ी घटना होने वाली है जो इस देश के पूरे एजुकेशनल पैराडाइम, एम्प्लॉयमेंट पैराडाइम को बदल देगी। आप कह सकते हैं कि इस तरह के वोकेशनल ट्रेनिंग, एजुकेशनल ट्रेनिंग की आवश्यकता क्या है। दोस्तों, यह बात मैं बताना चाहता हूं कि आप एक डेटा है NEP 2020 में ही, इस डेटा से मैं पहले उल्लेख करना चाहता हूं। NEP 2020 में यह कहा गया है कि जो वोकेशनल ट्रेनिंग है या इंटर्नशिप है, अप्रेंटिसशिप है, इस ढंग की चीजें, या जिसका एक और हमारे इसके ऑप्शन में जो स्किल इनहेंसमेंट कोर्सेज, दैट इज काइंड ऑफ वोकेशनल ट्रेनिंग, ये सारी चीजें पहली बार जो होने जा रही हैं। यह ठीक है कि अमेरिका में आप देखेंगे इसका डेटा इट इज मोर देन 55% ऑफ द जो वर्क फोर्स है। अब NEP 2020 कहती है कि 19 साल से 24 साल का जो एज ग्रुप है, that it counts as a workforce which enters into the job market across the country, not across the world. Normally this is the age group where normally people enter into the job market. 19 साल से 24 साल का ग्रुप। प्लानिंग कमीशन 2017 12 to 17, that is 12th 5-year plan, उसके कुछ डेटा है जिसके बारे में कोट करने के पहले मैं बताना चाहता हूं कि जो वोकेशनल ट्रेनिंग है या इंटर्नशिप टाइप की ट्रेनिंग है, अप्रेंटिसशिप है, ये सारी जो चीजें हैं, अमेरिका में आप देखेंगे इट इज 50 to 55%, जर्मनी इट इज 75%, कोरिया इट इज 95%, all Europe and all the most of the developed countries, it is between 60 to 90 or 90%. भारत में देखें आप, अब मैं डेटा कोट करने जा रहा हूं 12th 5-year plan का, it is not 50, forget about 50%, it is not 40%, it is not 30%, it is not 20%, it is not even 10%, it is, my dear, it is below 5%. 5% से कम लोग स्किल ट्रेंड है इस देश के। बहुत कठिन स्थिति है। एंड फर्स्ट टाइम हम DU UG CF के माध्यम से चीजों को बदलने की एक शुरुआत कर रहे हैं। इसके अलावा मतलब इस काइंड ऑफ वोकेशनल ट्रेनिंग केवल दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी नहीं देगा, और भी बहुत तरह के इंस्टीट्यूशंस आएंगे इस संदर्भ में, लेकिन DU का भी एक महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका होने वाली है। इस बात को लिए भी इतिहास हमें याद रखेगा। और दोस्तों, ये केवल मॉडर्न टाइम ही नहीं, ये प्राचीन भारतीय परंपरा भी थी। याद कीजिए पुराने जमाने में जो गुरुकुल परंपरा थी, वहां राजकुमार लोग भी बहुत सारे श्रम संबंधित कार्य सीखते थे, बहुत सारे कौशल उनके पास होता था। कादम्बरी में बाण भट्ट ने क्या लिखा है? कादम्बरी के बाण भट्ट में, जिन हम कहते हैं कि कृष्ण 64 कलाओं से युक्त थे, 64 आर्ट्स, और इस 64 आर्ट्स के बारे में कादम्बरी में बाण भट्ट लिखते हैं। नहीं, बाण भट्ट नहीं, कादम्बरी कादम्बरी में या रास तरंगरी में कल्हण लिखते हैं, मुझे अभी याद नहीं आ रहा, मैं कंफ्यूज हूं। आइदर इन कादम्बरी इन बाण भट्ट और रास तरंगरी में कल्हण लिखते हैं कि इन कलाओं में केवल इज नॉट सिंपली फाइन आर्ट्स और द पेंटिंग एंड म्यूजिक एंड ऑल। इस कलाओं में विज्ञान टेक्नोलॉजी भी है, चिकित्सा भी है, और इन कलाओं में कास्ट कला भी है, स्थापत्य कला भी, कास्ट कला, दैट इज द वुडक्राफ्ट, दैट इज काइंड ऑफ ट्रेनिंग, वोकेशनल ट्रेनिंग। और जो भी कलाएं थी उस ढंग की, वो सारी चीज स्थापत्य कला है, वास्तु कला है, ये भी कला, दिस काइंड ऑफ आर्किटेक्चर, या उसका एक छोटा रूप कुछ हो सकता है वोकेशनल ट्रेनिंग में। ये सारी चीजें हम अपने देश में लाने आ रहे हैं। और जो महात्मा गांधी भी कहते थे, महात्मा गांधी को पढ़िए उनके आप, महात्मा गांधी की जो शिक्षा संबंधित विचार हैं, वो बार बार कहते हैं कि इस देश में रोजगार परक शिक्षा देने की आवश्यकता है। और दोस्तों, इस रूप में दिस आवर दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटीज, दिस UGC जो UG करिकुलम फ्रेमवर्क है, एक साथ ये रोजगार और स्वरोजगार दोनों को बढ़ावा देने जा रहा है, और जो आत्मनिर्भर भारत के निर्माण में बहुत बड़ी भूमिका निभाने वाला है। इसके साथ साथ और महत्वपूर्ण बात है कि जो अब तक हमारे स्किल एनहांसमेंट कोर्सेज थे, बहुत लिमिटेड थे, कुछ टीचर पढ़ाते थे हम लोग आपस में, बहुत सारी चीजें आपको मिल नहीं पाती थी, चाहे वो डाटा हैंडलिंग के कोर्सेज हो या वेब डिजाइनिंग के कोर्सेज हो, फूड प्रोसेसिंग का कोर्स हो या कंप्यूटर प्रोग्रामिंग के कोर्सेज हो। इस तरह के कुछ कोर्सेज हमारे अलग अलग कॉलेजेस एड ऑन कोर्स के रूप में अभी चला तो रहे हैं, लेकिन वो सिर्फ एड ऑन कोर्स है। इस काइंड ऑफ ऑप्शन मिल सकता है, कुछ लोग कर पाते हैं, कुछ लोग नहीं कर पाते हैं। दे विल बी नाउ पार्ट एंड पार्सल ऑफ योर अंडरग्रेजुएट करिकुलम फ्रेमवर्क। And most important is that the thing is that it is not only, it won't be only an add-on course where the marks won't be added. यहाँ इनके अंतिम अंक भी जोड़े जाएंगे आपके फाइनल मार्कशीट में, जो एक महत्वपूर्ण बात होने जा रही है। इसके साथ साथ दोस्तों, एक महत्वपूर्ण बात जो मुझे बार बार लगती है, क्योंकि मैं भाषा का विद्यार्थी हूँ, भाषा और साहित्य का, तो थोड़ा सा भाषा और साहित्य पर मुझे बात करने का बार बार मन करता है। आप देखेंगे कि हमारे जो एबिलिटी इनहांसमेंट कोर्स है, जिसके बारे में रत्नावली जी ने कल बताया था आपको, और पंकज जी ने भी बहुत इसको विस्तार से बताया, जो एक महत्वपूर्ण बात है क्या कि अभी विकास गुप्ता जी और आदरणीय बलरामपाणी जी कह रहे थे, डीन ऑफ कॉलेजेस, कि नेशनल इंटीग्रेशन, उस पर बहुत दोनों ने जोर दिया, बार बार जोर दिया। और जो हमारे देश के माननीय प्रधानमंत्री कहते हैं और पूरा देश कहता है, हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का भी है कि यूनिटी तो चाहिए, यूनिटी एंड इंटीग्रिटी ऑफ दिस नेशन। इस यूनिटी एंड इंटीग्रिटी ऑफ दिस नेशन में भाषाओं की बहुत बड़ी भूमिका होने वाली है। और इसीलिए एनईपी 2020 ड्राफ्ट talks a lot about the Indian languages। बहुत सारे संदर्भों में, बहुत सारे परिप्रेक्ष्य में कहता है, उन सारे संदर्भों और परिप्रेक्ष्य में मैं नहीं जाऊंगा। मैं संक्षेप में सिर्फ अपने यूजीसी जो करिकुलम अपना यूजीसीएफ अंडर ग्रेजुएट करिकुलम फ्रेमवर्क ऑफ दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी, उस पर मैं बात करना चाहूंगा कि पहली बार हम लोगों ने इसमें क्या किया कि अब जो हम भाषाएं पढ़ाएंगे एबिलिटी इनहांसमेंट कोर्सेज में, अब सिर्फ हिंदी की बात नहीं होगी। यद्यपि हम हिंदी भाषी प्रदेश में हैं, लेकिन यह भी हमें नहीं भूलना चाहिए कि दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय में पूरे देश से विद्यार्थी आते हैं, पूरे भारत के कोने कोने से आते हैं, विभिन्न भारतीय भाषाओं के आते हैं, और सारी भारतीय भाषाएं अपनी भाषाएं हैं। हिंदी जरूर हमारे देश की राजभाषा है, डिजूरे एंड डिफैक्टो इट इज ऑल्सो द नेशनल लैंग्वेज। लेकिन other languages are also in one way national languages. In fact, all the languages which are in the 8th schedule of this constitution, they are the national languages. But the chosen language of for all the freedom fighters, including Mahatma Gandhi, Hindi was the chosen national language. और कमो बेस डिफैक्टो वही हमारी नेशनल लैंग्वेज भी है, डिजोरे तो है ही है हिंदी। लेकिन हम दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय में एक नई पहल करते हुए सारी भारतीय भाषाओं को पढ़ाने का मौका देने जा रहे हैं। कोई विद्यार्थी चाहे तो उड़िया पढ़ सकता है, कोई चाहे बांग्ला पढ़ सकता है, कोई चाहे तो तमिल पढ़ सकता है, कोई चाहे तो कन्नड़ पढ़ सकता है, कोई असमिया पढ़ सकता है, आप जितनी मणिपुरी पढ़ सकता है, जो भी 8 शेड्यूल की भाषाएं हैं। हिंदी का मैं विद्यार्थी हूं, तो हिंदी तो मेरे गले का हार है, मेरी पहचान है, हिंदी तो रहेगी ही। लेकिन अन्य भारतीय भाषाएं भी होनी चाहिए, जो रियल नेशनल इंटीग्रेशन के लिए एक बड़ा कदम होगा दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय का। और इस बात के लिए भी हम लोग को बहुत गर्व करना चाहिए कि दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय ने इस तरीके से एक बड़ा कदम उठाया है। एक अगला बिंदु है जिस पर थोड़ा सा मैं बात करना चाहूंगा, वैल्यू एडिशन कोर्सेज के बारे में प्रोफेसर jasvinder जी ने कह दिया सारी बातें। लेकिन ये वैल्यू एडिशन कोर्स है क्यों? हम जानते हैं कि एनईपी 2020 ड्राफ्ट के जो आरंभिक इंट्रोडक्शन को आप देखेंगे, उसमें कहा ही गया है कि the aim of NEP 2020 is to have or to develop a well-rounded personality। विद्यार्थियों का सर्वांगीण विकास, और सर्वांगीण विकास भी कैसा? जो भारतीय मूल्यों से अनुप्राणित हो। और इसीलिए पहली बार भारतीय शिक्षा में फॉर्मली, औपचारिक रूप से करिकुलम फ्रेमवर्क का हिस्सा बनने जा रहा है वैल्यू एडिशन कोर्स, जिसके बारे में बहुत सारे कोर्सेज होंगे, मुझे नाम गिनाने की जरूरत नहीं है। कल माननीय कुलपति महोदय ने गिनाया, आज भी बहुत सारे वक्ताओं ने गिनाया। और महत्वपूर्ण बात है, मुझे याद आता है कि बचपन में मैं गांव से पढ़ा हूं, तो गांव के मेरे जो स्कूल में हम लोग के 5वीं या 6ठी क्लास में सुलभ नैतिक शिक्षा पढ़ाते थे। उसके नंबर वगैरह जुड़ते नहीं थे, तो ऐसे ही विद्यार्थी हम लोग भी, बस पास भी शायद नहीं करना होता था, बस पढ़ा दिया जाता था, या शायद पास करना होता था, मुझे अभी याद नहीं है। नंबर भी जुड़ते नहीं थे उसके फाइनल मार्कशीट में, तो हम लोग भी उसे बड़ा कैजुअली लेते थे, ठीक है अब ठीक है जो भी है पढ़ लेते, थोड़ा पढ़ा थोड़ा नहीं पढ़ा। नाउ द marks obtained in this value addition courses that will be added to your final mark sheet, so that student must take it seriously। उसको समझे, जाने, आत्मसात करे, ठीक है, केवल सैद्धांतिक रूप से नहीं, व्यवहारिक रूप से भी, इन ऑल अप्लाइड एस्पेक्ट। और ये एक बड़ी घटना होगी दोस्तों। अगला जो बिंदु इस संदर्भ में जो बात मैं कहने जा रहा हूं कि NEP 20 talks a lot about research and development and innovation to make India a future superpower in research and development। और इसको ध्यान में रखते हुए जो अंडर ग्रेजुएट करिकुलम फ्रेमवर्क में भी एक बड़ी शुरुआत की है कि इन द वेरी फर्स्ट स्टेज ऑफ हायर एजुकेशन, first stage of higher education we all know is the bachelor education, and the very first stage of higher education students will be exposed to research and research methodology kind of courses. ये एक बड़ी बात है। चौथे साल में उनको डिसर्टेशन लिखने का मौका मिलेगा। सपोज मेनी ऑफ यू नॉट इंटर टू आप आगे मास्टर्स में नहीं जाते हैं तो भी रिसर्च का जो करने की जो चीजें होती है आपको लाइफ लॉन्ग काम आती है। और ये डिसर्टेशन लिखने का जो मौका मिलने जा रहा है, इट इज अगेन ए इंटरनेशनल काइंड ऑफ फेनोमेना। पूरी दुनिया के सभी विश्वविद्यालयों में जो श्रेष्ठ विश्वविद्यालय है वहां पर आपको ये डिसर्टेशन लिखने का मौका मिलता है। एक और एडिशनल पॉइंट है यहाँ पर जो हाईलाइट करना चाहिए हम लोगों को कि नॉट ओनली समथिंग इन योर मेजर, जो मेजर कोर्स आप लेने जा रहे हैं केवल उसमें नहीं, आपको 2 साल या 1 साल के बाद लगे कि यार ये मैंने फिजिक्स ऑनर्स तो ले लिया लेकिन मेरा मन तो फिजिक्स पे कम लगता है, साइकोलॉजी में ज्यादा मुझे मजा आता है। और ऐसा होता है दोस्तों, पता नहीं चलता कि आप कब आपको आपका रियल इंटरेस्ट कहां पर है, और ये बातें बाद में पता चलती है। आई मस्ट कोट हियर चार्ल्स स्पेंसर। चार्ल्स स्पेंसर हम जानते हैं, जो लोग सोशियोलॉजी के स्टूडेंट हैं यहाँ पर या पॉलिटिकल सोशियोलॉजी और फिलोसफी के लोग, इस बात को हम जानते हैं कि चार्ल्स, और इवन चार्ल्स स्पेंसर इज कोटेड इन आल्सो इन जो है ना वो इन बायोलॉजी आल्सो। तो स्पेंसर बेसिकली वाज ए फिजिशियन, वाज ए डॉक्टर, लेकिन बाद में उसका पूरा ओरिएंटेशन बदला और संसार के बड़े समाजशास्त्रियों में उसकी आज गिनती होती है। तो जब इस उम्र में हमारा ओरिएंटेशन बदल सकता है तो डेफिनेटली अंडरग्रेड में तो चीजें और भी कई बार आपको लगता है कि समझ में चीजें नहीं आती हैं, और दैट इज व्हाई a student of physics can definitely choose to have a minor in psychology in which he would be writing his dissertation, and he can switch over in masters also, जिसमें उसको मास्टर्स में फायदा मिलेगा कि सीधे 1 साल में वो अपना मास्टर्स कर ले जाएगा साइकोलॉजी में। उसके लिए अलग से उसे इंटरेस्ट नहीं देना होगा या उस ढंग की चीजें जिसके बारे में विस्तार से अभी आगे का हमें लोगों को योजनाएं बनानी है। मैं NEP सेल का मेंबर हूं, इसलिए इन बात को मैं कह सकता हूं कि अभी बहुत सारी चीजें करनी बाकी है। दोस्तों ये सारी बातें तो हो गई, लेकिन जो महत्वपूर्ण बात एक और है, जो कंट्रोवर्सी एक पिछले लगातार हम लोगों ने सुना और देखा, हम लोग जानते हैं कि वर्कलोड के बारे में माननीय कुलपति महोदय ने कई बार हेड ऑफ द डिपार्टमेंट्स के सामने, प्रिंसिपल्स के सामने, यहाँ तक कि डूटा के सामने भी अपनी मीटिंग में कहा था सारी बातों को कि मैं लिख कर देने वाला हूं कि वर्कलोड कम नहीं होगा। आज भी हमारे रजिस्ट्रार साहब ने कहा, माननीय डीन ऑफ कॉलेजेस ने कहा, और सारे लोग इस बात को कहते हैं कि भाई 100 क्रेडिट कोर्स है, पहले 132 क्रेडिट 3 साल में और 4 साल में 176, तो ये थोड़ा सा कम लग रहा है, इससे वर्कलोड खत्म होने वाला है। उन लोगों ने कहा कि नहीं होगा, लेकिन इसको थोड़ा सा हम और भी इसके बारे में कुछ ऐसी बातें मैं कहना चाहता हूं जो जानना आज बहुत ही प्रासंगिक होगा। पहली बात ये जान लें कि जो UGC गाइडलाइन फॉर मल्टीपल एंट्री एंड एग्जिट इन एकेडमिक प्रोग्राम, हम जानते हैं कि हम UGC से गाइडेड है, देश के सारे विश्वविद्यालय UGC से गाइडेड है, और UGC अपना एक उसने निर्देश दे दिया है कि 3 साल की डिग्री में 108 से 120 क्रेडिट और 4 साल की डिग्री में 144 से 160 क्रेडिट। If many of you may not understand the Hindi the numerals, so I must tell you 100 to 120 credits, and in 4 years that must be within the range of 144 and 160 credits, 60 credits. This is the limit in which all the universities have to develop their curriculum framework for the undergraduate education. Fortunately, Delhi University, our honorable vice chancellor sir talked to UGC, and we have हमें थोड़ा सा उन्होंने एक स्पेशल कंसेशन दिया, and we are very fortunate that we have been given to have 132 credits instead of the upper limit 120. Their lower limit of UGC was 108 credits only, and for 4 years The upper limit of UGC was 160 credits. But fortunately, Delhi University will have 176 credit in its undergraduate curriculum. तो देखिए हम पहले ही बहुत ज्यादा ऊपर आ चुके हैं. इससे ज्यादा यूजीसी नहीं करने वाला है. और हम देश से अलग नहीं हैं. इस देश के 135 करोड़ से हम अलग नहीं हैं. उसके बावजूद यूजीसी ने स्पेशल फेवर हमें दिया है. और 144 से 160 जो क्रेडिट है या 108 से 120 क्रेडिट है, इसका एक लॉजिक है कि स्टूडेंट शुड नॉट बी ओवरबर्डन्ड. हमेशा दिन भर वही जिस पुस्तकीय ज्ञान और जिसमें क्लासरूम टीचिंग की बात कर रहा हूं, ऑल द टाइम यू वुड बी इन द क्लास और यू डोंट हैव द टाइम टू हैव अदर काइंड ऑफ अफेयर्स, एकेडमिक अफेयर्स. मैं अमेरिका में देखता था कितना वहां पर लिबरल होते हैं स्टूडेंट्स, कितने तरह की एक्टिविटीज में इन्वॉल्व होते हैं. एक्टिविटीज का मतलब नॉट विद इन द प्रीमाइस ऑफ द कॉलेज, आउटसाइड द कॉलेज. और एक लिमिटेड आवर्स में ही आप पढ़ सकते हैं. और बल्कि मैं बताना आपको चाहता हूं कि देश के अन्य विश्वविद्यालयों में तो यही क्रेडिट इससे 160 से अधिक तो हो ही नहीं सकता है. इफ यू कंपेयर दिस इंटरनेशनली तो लगता है कि हम तो बहुत ही ओवरबर्डन फिर भी करने जा रहे हैं. टॉप यू टेक एनी टॉप इंटरनेशनल यूनिवर्सिटी, हार्वर्ड टू कोलंबिया, प्रिंसटन टू स्टैनफोर्ड, ऑक्सफोर्ड टू कैम्ब्रिज or to any National University of Singapore, to Shanghai University और कहीं चले जाइए आप. In 3 years, the credit range is 96 to 108 credits. In 4 years, it is 128 to 144 credits. UGC गाइडलाइन से का भी जो लोअर लिमिट है, वहां पर वो अपर लिमिट है इंटरनेशनल यूनिवर्सिटीज में. हम तो फिर भी बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ा के दे रहे हैं. मतलब इट इज काइंड ऑफ एक्सॉर्बिटेंट. तो क्रेडिट तो हमने पहले ही बढ़ा दिया. अब उसके बाद एक और बात जो महत्वपूर्ण बात समझने की जरूरत है कि उसके बावजूद आप कहेंगे कि भाई तब भी पहले से तो कम हो रहा है. एक तो पहले ही हमारा बहुत बढ़ा हुआ है, इस बारे में आप जान लें दोस्तों. दूसरी बात है कि इतने क्रेडिट पर भी जो पहले के वर्कलोड से वर्कलोड कहीं कम नहीं होने वाला है. क्योंकि आप कहेंगे कि भाई डिसिप्लिन जो जैसे वो कोर कोर्स जो पहले डिसिप्लिनरी जो डीसीसी है, डिसिप्लिनरी कोर जो कोर्स है, उसमें भी अगर 6 क्रेडिट की जगह 4 क्रेडिट हुआ है, तो पहले ये था कि 2 लोग मिलके 6 क्रेडिट के 2 पेपर थे तो 12 क्रेडिट था. अब 3 के 4 हो गए, तो 4 के 3 हो गए तो 12 क्रेडिट है. पहले एक टीचर एक कोर्स पढ़ाता था, तो अब क्यों नहीं ऐसा कर सकते हैं कि एक टीचर एक कोर्स पढ़ाए, दूसरा टीचर दूसरा कोर्स पढ़ाए और तीसरा कोर्स 2 टीचर मिलकर पढ़ाएं. एंड दिस इज द अरेंजमेंट which is in place in across all the universities in our country. दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी में ही देखें, मास्टर्स लेवल पर मैं अपने विभाग के बारे में कह सकता हूं कि एक एक कोर्स को हम लोग 3 टीचर पढ़ाते हैं. आप जेएनयू में चले जाइए, एक एक कोर्स को 2 3 टीचर पढ़ाते हैं. बिफोर दैट आई हैड बीन टू अलीगढ़ मुस्लिम यूनिवर्सिटी ऑल्सो. वहां पर मुझे अंडरग्रेड भी पढ़ाने का मौका मिला था, क्योंकि वहां पर डिपार्टमेंट में ही अंडरग्रेड होता है. अलीगढ़ मुस्लिम यूनिवर्सिटी का एक स्पेशल कैरेक्टर है. they don't have colleges, लेकिन यूनिवर्सिटी में ही अंडरग्रेड की पढ़ाई होती है. और वहां पर भी एक कोर्स को हम लोग कई टीचर पढ़ाते थे. This is possible in Delhi University also, why not? दूसरी बात जो महत्वपूर्ण है कि जो डिसिप्लिन स्पेसिफिक इलेक्टिव्स है, पहले आपको बहुत कम ऑप्शन दिए जाते थे, कम हम लोग ऑप्शन ऑफर करते थे. Now the number of options will be much more. ज्यादा ऑप्शंस होंगे तो ज्यादा सेक्शंस होंगे, ज्यादा सेक्शंस होंगे तो ज्यादा शिक्षकों की जरूरत होगी, ज्यादा शिक्षकों की जरूरत होगी तो शिक्षकों की संख्या भी कम नहीं होगी. तो इसलिए जानिए कि एक महत्वपूर्ण बिंदु है कि व्हाई नॉट द वर्कलोड विल बी, मतलब व्हाई नॉट इट विल गो डाउन. इसके अलावा एक और महत्वपूर्ण बात है कि वर्कलोड का संबंध स्टूडेंट से होता है. जब छात्रों की संख्या में ही कमी नहीं की जा सकती है, क्योंकि संभव ये नहीं, कर ही नहीं सकते कम, तो जब छात्रों की संख्या में कमी नहीं होगी तो उनको पढ़ाने वाले क्योंकि वर्कलोड ही उतना होगा, तो शिक्षकों की संख्या में भी कमी नहीं की जा सकती. सो देयर वोंट बी एनी रिट्रेंचमेंट इवन इन दैट perspective also. Rather, number of faculty members, degree of workload will increase. Why? Because there will be an additional number of years, 4th year. और एडिशनल नंबर ऑफ ईयर होते ही क्या होगा कि हर विषय में अतिरिक्त शिक्षकों की जरूरत पड़ेगी। तो वर्कलोड वाला तो मामला कहीं से भी है ही नहीं, और वाइस चांसलर साहब तो बार बार कहते हैं कि मैं लिख के देने के लिए तैयार हूं। इससे बड़ी बात क्या हो सकती है? दोस्तों, मैं अपनी बात खत्म करना चाहता हूं कि जब हम आज आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव मनाने जा रहे हैं, और मनाने जा रहे हैं क्या बल्कि मना रहे हैं, आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव के वर्ष में पहली बार हमारी जो स्नातक शिक्षा है, अंडर ग्रेजुएट एजुकेशन, भी लगता है कि सच्चे अर्थों में आजाद होने जा रही है। द कॉलोनियल जो पूरा का पूरा फ्रेमवर्क था, उससे आजाद होने जा रही है। इन द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स, इन द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ नेशन एंड इन द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ द नॉलेज एज सच। इसीलिए हम सारे स्टेक होल्डर्स को इतिहास के इस धारा में अपना योगदान देना होगा, और दोस्तों यही समय की मांग है। थैंक यू वेरी मच रमा जी और पंकज जी कि आपने मुझे यहाँ आकर बोलने का मौका दिया इतने विद्वत समाज के सामने में। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। नमस्कार।
धन्यवाद निरंजन जी, धन्यवाद, नमस्कार, धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your valuable thoughts on today's theme. It was an absolutely enriching experience for us. I see some questions in the question and answer section. If you allow, we can take them up.
जी प्लीज।
Sir, एक सवाल है regarding internships. There are concerns. Number one, what is the possibility that the research institutes offer internship to UG students? In case of private companies, the charges are high, which may not be affordable for many students. So what will be the method of assessment? So that is one question.
This is something that we would be working upon later on, but it's not that Delhi University will have collaboration with variety of, because Delhi University is a premium university and it is named in the country. So variety of, let me first, Jasvinder ji, let me first finish. And many of organizations, we know that many of the premier organizations of the country are willing to collaborate with Delhi University. So that way, I don't think that we won't be having an opportunity, or the students won't be having opportunity to have the internship in those premier institutions. I can give you a couple of examples. Many of Delhi, we have the undergraduate Hindi journalism program in a couple of colleges of Delhi University. And those students, they do get internship in, suppose, top media houses of this country. So I don't see, I don't visualize that it will be a hiccup to get the internship in the premier organizations or corporate organizations. Thank you. Yes, Jasvinder ji, please.
Jasvinder sir, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I think Professor Kumar has already answered this, but you know, as far as the internships are concerned, you know, it depends what kind of internship we are looking at. I don't think the corporate sector is not willing to give us the internships. In fact, our college, which is doing major in commerce and economics and business economics, you know, we find that the students are not finding much difficulty in getting the internship. Rather, there is mushrooming of these agencies. And all that is required is that, you know, when we are designing the value addition courses and when we are designing the skill enhancement courses, we need to slightly, you know, tune up our courses with the requirements of the students and, you know, the intending agencies which are willing to employ them. You know, ये नहीं है कि सारे बच्चे रिसर्च के लिए ही जाएंगे, जो सारे बच्चे कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर में ही जाएंगे. As far as the research part is concerned, the University of Delhi has opened its doors for the college teachers also to supervise, and we are establishing the parallel labs. Rather, there is going to be healthy competition between the departments and the college teachers now. Many of us have become professors, and it is our responsibility to come up to those standards which are expected from that of a professor. Yes, जैसे पहली बात थी कि एक लैब कैसे एस्टेब्लिश करें कि इंस्टीट्यूशन के लिए अगर हमें रिसर्च करवानी है तो लैब्स तो हमें इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर तो बनाना ही पड़ेगा। तो उसी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में जब हम रिसर्च मेथोडोलॉजी का प्रोग्राम करेंगे तो रिसर्च इंटर्नशिप्स तो अक्रॉस द डिसिप्लिन्स और कॉलेजेस में ये over a period of time होगी। It is not that difficulties will not be there, the difficulties would be there, but these are not insurmountable. Corporate sector is willing, you know, मैं आपको बताऊं कि फॉर इंस्टेंस इन FMCG जो फास्ट कंज्यूमर ये गुड्स हैं, कंज्यूमर गुड्स में FMCG वी कॉल दिस फास्ट मूविंग कंज्यूमर गुड्स, जिसमें बहुत सारे हमारे कोलीग्स, क्लासमेट्स और इवन जो हमारे स्टूडेंट्स हैं इन ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में काम करते हैं। They need the people, but the financial sector, for instance, finance sector or banking, for instance, there are number of opportunities where the students can in fact take the internships and go ahead with this. ये मुझे नहीं लगता कि अभी तक हमने किसी को पैसे दिए हैं for internship. Maybe that stage will come when very large number of students will be looking for this. But so far, यूनिवर्सिटी ने भी हमारी प्लेसमेंट्स का सेल खोला हुआ है और उसमें भी हम अपना इंटर्नशिप का एक वेल डिजाइन प्रोग्राम इंटीग्रेट कर सकते हैं। सो ऑल दैट इज रिक्वायर्ड इज दैट वी विल हैव टू फाइन ट्यून आवर कोर्सेस एंड दे शुड सिंक विद द रिक्वायरमेंट्स वेयर द स्टूडेंट्स आर इंटेंडिंग टू गेट अब्सॉर्ब। अब बहुत सारे स्टार्टअप्स हैं, उन स्टार्टअप्स में बच्चों की जैसे हम सीए के साथ ट्रेनिंग के लिए भेजते हैं, इसी तरीके से ये बच्चे भी उनके साथ काम करेंगे एंड दे विल नो हाउ द एंटरप्रेन्योरियल स्किल्स कैन बी लर्न्ड एंड कैन बी एनहांस्ड देयर। So internship is a challenge, but it is not insurmountable. I think the institutions will have to prepare themselves and you know it will not be just one teacher, it will be a rather committee of teachers or you know society which will be working for this, and we will be able to look into this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So one pointer that I would like to read here is that a practical problem that we face now is that the coverage of the subject of GE as a minor is not comprehensive enough to enable the student to crack entrance exams at master's levels. So Dr. Indu is saying that she is wondering what can be done regarding this.
देखिए ऐसा है, as of today the UGC says कि अगर किसी डिसिप्लिन में स्टूडेंट्स ने अंडरग्रेजुएट में 24 क्रेडिट्स अर्न किए तो he or she is eligible to take admission in the postgraduate courses in that. That is the UGC norm. अब हम हमारे कोर्सेज में क्या है कि now we are allowing much more you know the credits which the students can accumulate this. Yes, GE course by their nature itself these are the standalone courses. For instance, एक कोई बच्चा कॉमर्स का इकोनॉमिक्स में एक GE करता है तो वो जो इकोनॉमिक्स का कोर्स GE वाला होगा that will be different from the discipline specific core course. It may be a kind of discipline specific elective in other subjects in economics, मगर वो स्टैंड अलोन सब्जेक्ट है, उसमें हम कोई बहुत ज्यादा फोरग्राउंड या बैकग्राउंड उस सब्जेक्ट की नहीं लेते हैं, बट क्योंकि उस बच्चे का इंटरेस्ट है, he has already learned something in his major discipline. So GE अगर आप पहले वाले स्ट्रक्चर में CBCS या LOCF में भी देखोगे, लर्निंग आउटकम बेस्ड करिकुलम फ्रेमवर्क जो था, उसमें भी GE की जो फिलॉसफी है वो इन ए वे these are the standalone courses. मगर एक बच्चा को माइनर उसमें 6 कोर्सेज इकट्ठे लेके अपने 24 क्रेडिट्स अर्न करता है तो he or she will be eligible to appear for you know the post graduation or for doing research or submitting a thesis or minor in that.
Right, sir. Sir, I'll just take one last question looking at the time. When some of the courses are in online mode, how can we say that there won't be any retrenchment?
विकास जी मैं आंसर करूं या आप आंसर करोगे?
सर आप देखिए, मैं एक्चुअली थोड़ा सा ऑफलाइन हो गया था, अगर मैं क्वेश्चन दोबारा सुन लूंगा, लेकिन आप आंसर दीजिए सर, बिकॉज आई विल फॉलो योर आंसर सर.
ओके, यू नो जो ऑनलाइन कोर्सेज हैं वो जरूरी नहीं है कि वो एग्जिस्टिंग स्ट्रक्चर में एग्जिस्ट करते हैं. बहुत सारे ऑनलाइन कोर्सेज जैसे स्वयं पोर्टल पे हैं, दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफर ही नहीं कर रही। बट दैट डज नॉट मीन कि टीचर का वर्कलोड जो है वो कम हो गया। एक मान लो एक कोर्स में हमारे 40 स्टूडेंट्स हैं या 60 स्टूडेंट्स हैं, उसमें 6 या 7 स्टूडेंट्स ऑनलाइन को कोर्स करना चाहते हैं, तो टीचर की क्लास तो डिसकंटिन्यू नहीं हुई है। बट द कोर्स विच द यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ दिल्ली इज नॉट ऑफरिंग इन द जनरल स्ट्रीम, the student can go to the online course. It can go to, it will depend कि the University of Delhi किन courses को accredit करती है. After all, it is the committee of courses and the concerned faculty which will look into the suitability of these courses. Once that is taken care of, then the students can, go and complete the course. और वो अपने academic credit bank में या ABC जिसको हम UGC जो propose कर रही है, उसमें अपने credit को accumulate कर सकता है. But not all, the entire class is going to do that course and the teacher's work will stop. इस तरीके से retrenchment नहीं है. Rather, the University of Delhi, for instance, the Department of Economics. I am a student of economics, so I am saying for economics, we should have more general elective courses so that we can, offer it to other students also. अगर हमारे बच्चे किसी और से कर रहे हैं, तो हमारे टीचर्स के कोर्सेज भी तो बाकी यूनिवर्सिटीज के बच्चे करेंगे. You will find there will be a flood of applications for University of Delhi. This may be true for other universities, but not for the University of Delhi. I don't think we are going to face this difficulty because University of Delhi की जो courses हैं, I am associated with the course structure for the last almost 33 years. जब से मैं academic council का member रहा हूँ, तो ये कोर्सेज हमारे रेगुलरली अपडेट होते हैं और बहुत सारी यूनिवर्सिटीज में इस तरीके की ऑनर्स स्ट्रीम्स नहीं ऑफर की जाती हैं जैसे यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ दिल्ली में की जाती है. तो यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ दिल्ली में rather the demand of the teachers is going to be much higher. There is a potential for them becoming the national teachers, and this is exactly what Hansraj College through the faculty development program, Khalsa College through the special faculty induction program trainings we are doing, and our teachers are being sought after. After getting the training, they are giving lectures, they are designing the courses, they have developed e-content which are being used by the students and the teachers all over the nation. Let me tell you, even in our neighboring nations, जहां भी हमारी ये वेबसाइट अवेलेबल है, वहां भी बहुत सारे लोग जो हैं हमारे कोर्सेज को वो रेफर कर रहे हैं. They are downloading the content and they are developing interest, especially in the theoretical subjects.
Right, sir. Right, sir. So with this, we come to the end of day 2 of the lecture series. I thank the entire panel of distinguished resource persons, Professor Pani, Dr. Vikas Gupta, Professor Jasvinder, and Professor Niranjan, for sparing their valuable time for this program, and also the participants for their enthusiastic participation. Thank you so much, everyone. See you all tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you, Rama ma'am. Thank you, Pankaj sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Rama, for आप मैडम मुंह में से बात कर रहे हो, जरा चुपके जरा इसको अनम्यूट करो ना.
अरे अवसर कर दिया सर. वो दरअसल जब आप बोल रहे थे तो हम सब चुप हो गए.
नहीं, मैं तो आपके लिप्स की मूवमेंट से पहचान जाता हूँ कि आप क्या कह रहे हो.
सर आप आखिर ऐसे तो ना डूपा के प्रेसिडेंट है आप.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Very engaging.
विकास जी, निरंजन जी, जसविंदर सर, आप सबका स्पेशल थैंक्स पंकज जी. Congratulations to Professor Yukti and Dr. Jyoti also.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Very nice session. Thank you, Professor Niranjan. बहुत अच्छा था. Professor Jasvinder, बहुत अच्छा लगा सुन.
बहुत अच्छा बोला जी आप. Professor Niranjan spoke well.
नमस्कार.
Namaskar, sir. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.